Hi. Let's learn about licensing fees. A licensing fee is a sum of money paid to another entity for a certain right. For example, individuals or companies may pay licensing fees to a government agency for the right to perform professional services or engage in a particular line of business. In other instances, individuals or businesses pay licensing fees for the right to use intellectual property that another party owns. Many types of professions require licenses before a person can perform the work of that profession. These licenses are usually issued after the individual has passed a certification exam and/or completed a certain number of mandatory training hours. Once someone has their license, they are a licensee. They may have to take additional exams and courses and pay additional fees in the future to maintain their licenses. Such licenses are often issued by state governments, and individuals who want to do business in more than one state may have to obtain a license from each one. In addition to the states, the federal government also charges licensing fees to certain types of businesses, such as commercial nuclear power plant operators and radio and television broadcasters. Professional licensing exists largely to ensure that the people or companies practicing a certain trade or selling a particular product know what they're doing, as well as to give the public some assurance of that. However, licensing fees, combined with the time and money required to get the training necessary to qualify for them, create barriers to entry in licensed occupations. This can drive up the costs of services, such as in the case of hairdressers, who must pay a licensing fee and obtain a cosmetology license to operate their business. A licensing fee can also refer to a sum paid to use intellectual property of various kinds, such as a copyrighted work, like a photograph or a logo, that is owned by someone else. For example, a t-shirt company that wants to sell shirts imprinted with a certain Major League Baseball team's logo would need to pay a licensing fee to get Major League Baseball's permission and possibly the permission of the team itself. A television or movie company wanting to use a particular song in its soundtrack might have to pay for multiple licenses, such as a synchronization license and a master use license. Royalties are ongoing, usage-based payments for the right to use an asset or a property, usually calculated as a percentage of gross revenue or net profit. Licensing fees, by contrast, are usually a fixed amount. Some businesses pay both licensing fees and royalties. For example, a franchisee might pay the parent franchisor an initial license fee for the right to use the franchise's name and processes plus regular royalties based on sales. As the World International Property Organization, a United Nations agency, defines it, intellectual property refers to creations of the mind, such as inventions, literary and artistic works, designs, and symbols, names and images used in commerce. The legal ownership of intellectual property is protected by trademarks, copyrights, and patents. The term licensing fee has several meanings, depending on the context, but broadly speaking, it refers to money paid to another entity in return for a certain right. For example, individuals or businesses must often pay licensing fees to a government agency in order to practice a certain profession or engage in a particular line of business. In another context, licensing fees can refer to money paid to the owner of copyrighted, trademarked, or patented intellectual property for the right to use that property. Here are 3 key takeaways. 1. A licensing fee can refer to a government-imposed fee to work in a certain profession or operate a certain type of business. 2. A licensing fee can also refer to money paid to the owner of intellectual property, such as a song, an invention, or a brand name, for the right to use that property. 3. License fees are generally a fixed amount, while royalties are usage-based payments for using an asset or a property. Hope this would help. Thanks for watching.